Greek mythology has its own charm, and it is a never-ending source of inspiration for artists, poets, and authors to dig into. It is also rich with legends about strange and magical creatures. They are shown on pottery, in sculpture, and in literary tradition. We're sure that you must have heard many stories about Greek gods and goddesses, and they can be seen as an inspiration even in movies as heroes. And it's justified too, as they had to battle monsters that were sometimes a mix of human and demon-like creatures. Of course, the heroes typically survived, and their fights with these creatures gave them an even more heroic appearance. But what's interesting is the creative mix of creatures that meant to reflect the imaginative worlds of both animal and alien worlds in the Greek vision of the universe, and maybe the unknown wildlife of different planets too. The Greek heroes' victory against these dreadful monsters served as a fun metaphor for the supremacy of Greek culture, the triumph of light over darkness, and the triumph of reason and order over chaos. But who were the most creepiest of all the Greek monsters? Hi, and welcome to our channel, where today we have another mythical story for you, this time featuring the top 10 monsters and creatures from Greek mythology. But before we get into the story, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future uploads. Now, without further ado, let's get started. So, Greek gods and heroes, their world and their origins form an incredibly rich culture, making Greek mythology famous for their rituals and a creative and imaginative approach to mythology. And while the gods, goddesses, heroes, heroines, and other mythological animals are the most well-known characters in these Greek stories, there are also many terrifying and horrible monsters that are said to still terrorize people to this day. Let's look at the most well-known in the top 10 monsters and creatures from Greek mythology out of all of these. Number 10. The Sphinx. A lion with wings and a woman's head. The Sphinx is the first monster on our list. It is a mythical beast with a lion's body, a woman's head, and eagle-like wings. She is portrayed in mythology as being cruel and insensitive. It is said that she would give people a riddle, and if they were not able to solve it, they would be killed and eaten by this monster. Sphinxes were widely used in classical art. They even served as the sculpting stone for the young men's tombs. They are also frequently seen parading along with animals and other monstrous creatures with bodies of lions and birds, and this art can specifically be seen on Greek vase paintings. Number 9. The Cyclopes, a one-eyed giant. Next, we have a line of mythological giants that were thought to have been born from Uranus and Earth. With one protruding eye from their forehead, they were described as being extremely strong and fierce. The Cyclopes were sent into the pits of Tartarus by their father Uranus out of fear about their strength. The monsters were set free by the great Zeus, god of the sky, who would then use them to make thunderbolts for them. If you visit the ancient city of Mycenaean architecture, you will see walls which are believed to have been created by Cyclopes, and hence, even today, in archaeology, such structures are referred to as Cyclopean. Number 8. The Chimera, a hybrid of a lion, snake, and goat. The Chimera is a well-known Greek mythological monster who has appeared in art for thousands of years. It was a terrifying fire-breathing monster with the head and body of a lion, a goat's head sticking out of its back, a snake for a tail, and the body of a lion. It is widely thought to be a female who gave birth to the Sphinx and the Nemean lion. The monster was feared and thought to bring storms, shipwrecks, and other natural disasters. Number 7. The Empusa, a beautiful woman with bat wings. Unlike the other creatures on this list, the Empusa is the least famous, and you may not find her in many classical stories and arts, even though she was monstrous enough to make it to this list. She is generally shown as a stunning woman who changes into a monster with burning hair, teeth, and in some interpretations, bat wings. Empusa was thought to be a demi-goddess who frequently seduced young men who were traveling alone. The creature would change from a beautiful woman to an evil monster once the naive young man was fast asleep, then rip the boy's body and suck his blood. It is believed that even gods are frightened of her when she enters the underworld. Number 6. The Hydra, a snake with multiple heads. Next on our list is the deadly Hydra, a water monster that resembles a snake. It is a creature whose venom was so deadly that even its breath could kill any man. Moreover, they had the strange ability to quickly regrow any lost body parts. So, with any Hydra, for every head that was removed, it was said that 2 more would grow in its place. The Hydra would hide in an underwater cave that was thought to be an entrance to the underworld. Number 5. The SCYLLA and the Charybdis. The 2 monsters may appear to be distinct, but this duo, which lived on opposing sides of the sea, have become so synonymous that it is impossible to discuss one without mentioning the other. The terrifying sea creature Charybdis hides behind a rock and swallows lots of water at a time, which creates monstrous whirlpools in sea and can destroy an entire ship. The SCYLLA, which inhabits the side opposite to Charybdis, has numerous heads that consumes the flesh of sailors. The monstrous duo has also given birth to a proverb between SCYLLA and Charybdis, which means to choose the lesser of 2 evils. Number 4. Cerberus, Hound of the Underworld. The gateway to the underworld was guarded by Cerberus, a large dog with 3 heads. It was rumored that the beast would only let the dead spirits pass because he only had a desire for living flesh. He would eat any living person foolish enough to approach him. According to legend, the 3 heads represent the past, present, and future, or thought to stand for youth, adulthood, and old age, depending on the different versions and depictions. Number 3. The Minotaur, a bull and man hybrid. Described as half man, half bull, the Minotaur was a wild creature who lived in the Cretan labyrinth center, where he used it to frighten his enemies. According to Greek legend, the Athenians were compelled to send 7 young men and 7 young women to the island of Crete every year so that they may be released into the labyrinth where the Minotaur would hunt them down and eat them. However, the Athenians' hero, Theseus, eventually killed the Minotaur. Number 2. Medusa, a snake woman hybrid. Among the 3 terrifying Gorgon sisters, Medusa is probably the most well-known. She wasn't always a frightening creature, according to some accounts. She was once a gorgeous priestess at the Temple of Athena. She was raped by Poseidon, the god of the seas, and as a consequence, she became the hideous monster we know of. She has a frightening face and her legs are actually a snake's tail. She was killed by the Greek hero Perseus, who then turned her head into a weapon that could turn his enemies into stone. Number 1. Typhon, the monster father. This number 1 monster is the most powerful of all known creatures and living animals. Typhon was the son of Tartarus, the darkest of hell, and Gaia, the earth. He was believed to have been the fiercest monster to ever roam the earth. He was so huge that he supposedly brushed the stars with his head while he was standing straight. Interestingly, 2 snakes were entangled with each other in the lower half of his body and hissed constantly, and several dragon heads appeared in place of his fingers. He was believed to have wings that could block out the sun when stretched wide. From what we know, any living thing would have shivered in dread at the fire that burst from Typhon's eyes. And this brings us to the end of the video. Greek mythology is full with both beautiful and terrifying creatures. Let us know in the comments who your favorite character is, and if you've seen any artwork or movie inspired by these dramatic creatures. Also, if you enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe so that we can bring you more fascinating stories in the future. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.